to land. I've got your hand, and now we're way down, fade out. No, was it your plan? Can't understand. I love the air you bring, everything. I'm in the sun, a fire is burning. You tell me to hold on tight. I wish that we could stay here forever. I wanna remember. Oh, the sight of you brings the fight in me, makes me wanna move. Fingers down your spine, looking in my eyes, feel your hands on mine. Tonight we're freer than ever. I wanna remember. Oh, we run every endeavor. I wanna
What up, everybody? This is Sarumonin from various things, and I have Pelum here, and who's going to be my co-host for this show. It's the Gaming Reality Show, which is a weird game. Hi, Pelum.
How's it going, everyone?
Hey, so we are going to be talking about a lot of topics, and just making sure that kind of the community understands, where our standpoint is. I know Pelum is widely known in the Australian community, or OCE, really. I don't know if you really want to talk about yourself a little bit so we get this introduction out of the way, Pelum.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Pelum. Been playing games for too long. And since pretty much every MMO RPG in existence has shit on the OCE community, I try to be the voice.
Yeah,
hopefully get our servers and everything.
You've definitely been quite vocal. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna be tackling some pretty cool things. Much like Stephen Sharif in the indie blockbuster The Mummy, we'll be tackling down subjects that matter to people. So let's get started. We're gonna start with how Asian markets have affected the Western audience. And I don't know if you want to start with that, Pelum, if you want to start it off.
Sure. Yeah, well, all the Asian MMOs, pretty much, most of them so far have been released in the Asian countries for usually a year or two before they try to get it to the Western market and try and make a quick buck by the seams of it. Because pretty much since they've been introduced, a pay-to-win aspect has come in to most MMORPGs, which seems to have come from there and possibly other companies from the West, but we won't talk about those.
Yeah, we're not going to be, directly naming publishers or developers, just to kind of, we don't want to attack them, but we're going to be talking generally on a wide spectrum of, publishers and developers, really.
That's right. Like some of the questionable publishers. I know one particular game a few years back, we actually had to use prepaid credit cards to buy things for the game because people were scared they were going to lose their details, which is kind of scary.
Yeah, this was not long ago. I'm actually almost at their name. And there was a time in certain MMOs where you'd go and you'd play, but you'd still have to, they'd be transported over to the Western audience. So, you have all these cool anime-like MMOs, and that's how you know they're really Asian because, well, the Western audience doesn't usually develop that. So this company actually deleted my and some of my people's, accounts because we hadn't spent money or we hadn't put any money into the actual account or the credit. It was really, really retarded. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how you feel about that because I know that's still a common thing these days.
Yeah, it happens quite a bit. And then if you try to dispute the fact that your account got cleaned out or something like that, you then get banned for protesting a claim.
Exactly, yeah. And, not even that long ago, I've found that a lot of these companies have, much like anything, in their terms of service, they can ban you for any reason whatsoever. Like, you don't even need a legitimate reason. They'll just literally ban you for any reason, whether they like you or they don't. And I've had that actually happen to me, and this happens quite a bit with the Asian MMOs. Now, the thing here is, like, we don't really get a lot of Western MMOs, like, do we? Like, I don't even remember the last one that we've gone in the last recent years.
There's been a few. Most of them hit the free-to-play market within 2 months of being brought out because there's no innovation. That is something at least the Asian MMOs are bringing into it. There is some form of innovation there with new features.
Mm-hmm.
But when they get transferred into the West, they usually gets lost in translation somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what happens. Like, I know, I'm going to just say Arcade, because, let's be real, that's on everyone's mind. Arcade started pretty fantastic. I remember the alpha was really fun, the beta was pretty fun, and then somehow down the line, I don't know what the hell happened, but it just, like, tore itself to shreds. And that's probably the only game I'll probably, like, name out blatantly, because I don't really care about Tryon, but, I don't know what happened to the game. Like, it had such great potential, but that's happening to a lot of games these days. But if we're talking like Western MMOs, I think the last biggest one that was ever made was maybe WildStar, that was actually created in the Western Hemisphere. I don't really know, dude.
But you've got Elder Scrolls Online, but apart from being tied to Bethesda and Elder Scrolls, there isn't really anything innovative in there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Elder Scrolls Online is still going on. I've noticed the popularity; it's actually blowing back up. And Star Wars, The Old Republic, is also going pretty hard too. But you know, it's like with the Asian market. I know, like just Korea alone pumps out dozens and dozens of MMOs each year, or develops them each year. And I think the gamers have gone and just to the point where they're just tired of it, dude, because they're tired of the pay to win, because it's always the same thing. It's always the generic same bullshit. You get this MMO that looks great and looks graphically amazing, but in the reality of it, the quest line is exactly the same shit. It's linear. The combat is ridiculous. Everything's just copy paste for the last like decade is how it's been every single game. That's not even just in the Asian imported games, even the Western ones.
Well, that's right. You get the same 5 classes, just copy pasted, slightly different name. Like a paladin will be called a defender, but it does exactly the same things.
They weren't trying hard enough. Yeah.
There's only so many times you can hit a thing with a sword with the same looking animations, doing the same kill 600 things, bring me their scalps, before you realize you're playing the same MMO under a different name.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, I don't understand it because there's such great promise. I know, for example, there is currently an MMO coming out it's currently called Project W. Now, a lot of people are very scared about it because Kakao Games, or also known as DOM in the West, even though it's changed back to Kakao, is going to be the one publishing it in the West. And they're also the ones that are going to be, helping develop it with the people that helped develop Arcade and Terra and a few other games, just working all together for that game. So I think it's kind of cool, but at the same time, how different can a game really be when the last decade has been such a repetitive nature? Like, do you think maybe that's the very what's for you at least the very last Asian MMO RPG? You can name any names that's recently come out or that will come out.
Well, the most recent one that I played was the beta for Moonlight Blade. Although that is definitely getting changed when it comes to the West when it eventually releases. Before that was Revelations. Great premise. Terrible execution.
Yeah.
Before that I had Phantasy Star Online. That's still going strong as far as I know. Bit weird having to do the whole Japanese translation thing, but it was good at least. But before that, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah, I know Phantasy Star Online, was it 2? Or just 1? I don't even understand. I know there's a lot of people that are actually playing that game. It's an active community, but it hasn't actually officially came over to the West, which I find really weird because, you see a lot of Western players that are going and playing, Korean games that are completely in Korean or Japanese MMOs that are completely not in English whatsoever. But you have like this dedicated community, like with PSO2, for example, that are so dedicated to the game that they're translating it themselves and stuff and making sure that everyone's enjoying the game. I don't know why. And I think we've seen this quite a bit. Like, we've seen a lot of great games that don't get transferred over, and then we get a lot of crappy games that do get transferred over, or we get a lot of good games that get transferred over, but then they're shitty management or just completely, destroyed by the publisher in the Western Hemisphere.
Or they have the worst translations in existence. And on the Fantasy Star Online 2 thing, the reason why it's not in the West, from what I can tell, is for all the copyright issues, because in the actual game itself, on all the screens, you've got animes playing constantly from all over the place. And I'm pretty sure there's a few copyright issues there, which is why it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, we're looking at who's creating it, right? Like, I'm sure they have the money to get the licensing agreements for that, but I don't know. It's a weird. Oh, let's see. It is one single agreement that, to this point, has prevented Fantasy Star Online 2 from coming to the West. That agreement, our source says, that Sega of Japan and a Chinese company, and allegedly prevents Sega from releasing the game onto Steam and anywhere for an unknown period. Oh, damn. Well, look at that. It's still...
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it's still weird though, because like I said, it has a big community, and even though even though it can't come here even by legit reasons, what I'm trying to say is, like, why can't we have that dedicated community for games here? And when we do, like, I'm gonna just name it out, like Revelation Online had the biggest community that supported it from the get-go. Like, I know I saw a ton of content creators creating content for it, I guess, and making sure that the game, was a success. And then we see the failures of community management, the failures of proper communication between the community and the developers, failure to see just transparency. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we lack from imported MMOs these days, at least.
It's definitely true. There's some kind of loss in translation, even between the community and the team that's developing it, or the publisher. I'm pretty sure from the actual people making the game and the publisher in the West, there's also a lack of communication there for the most part.
Yeah,
it's strange.
There's a lot of internal communication. Like, if we're going back to Arcade, for example, I know, like, community manager would say, hey, this is happening, and it's not their fault. Like, I understand what the community manager's positions are, and I understand the limitations of what they can do. But I've seen also where the publisher or the producer or creative director, or whatever the case, doesn't quite, how do I put this? Communicate, like, the information to the community managers. And so the community managers are therefore kind of left with, oh, this is what might happen, to leave the community with hope, because the producer has kind of given up on the game. And I've seen that time and time again.
Well, that's right, but there is also the lack of communication from the publishers and the developers. I remember, for example, Black Desert, a few patches, they didn't even realize what was in the patch until it actually got released, and the servers went back to live because there was no communication. There needs to be some form of internal communication, so then it can filter through to the players.
Yeah,
it's a bit strange.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't know. I'd like to see that games, if they're going to be imported from anywhere, I saw this game that's coming from South Africa, and actually looks pretty interesting. It's an MMO as well, with survival aspects, but I'm hoping that games that are imported from anywhere else into the Western Hemisphere kind of reflect that what the Western market wants. Now, I know that in the Asian market, if you have a big wallet, that usually is a sign of honor. It's cool, hey, oh God, you're awesome. But here, we detest it, because I think, society's gone to the point where it's like, the rich get richer, we're tired of this shit, we're trying to escape reality, let's try to play a game where, we can grind our shit, we can work for it, rather than having to swipe our card, be better, and destroy everybody, then go on to the next game and charge back. Like, I've seen that shit time and time again.
Yeah, it's happened quite a bit. In fact, pretty much every game that's released recently, I've noticed a massive influx of people trying to charge back because they weren't happy with it.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not sure if it's a lack of research on their behalf or it's the broken promises, but there's something that needs to change.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that kind of goes into our next point is how pay to win has been in the last decade. So I don't know if I'll kind of start this off since you started on the last one. I kind of just started off a little bit, but pay to win has been a huge, huge, huge concept in the last decade. From being able to buy the gear straight out from the cash shop. I've seen that shit happen. I've seen things where you can buy gems that are better than anywhere in the game, and you can only get in the cash shop, or that you can transfer your money from real life cash into the auction house and therefore buy the best gear in the game that has been provided by the company itself. Yes, I've seen companies actually go ahead and put, the legendary gear themselves into the auction house. And it's depressing, but that's how it's been for the last decade. I don't know, what do you have any stories or anything that you think has been the worst pay to win experience with you, at least?
Sort of. Like, there's been pay to win in pretty much every game the last 10 years. The problem is the games that say they won't be pay to win and then become pay to win. Black Desert, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They straight up said, we're not going down a pay to win path. The cash shop will be cosmetics only. Then it actually released and they had stats on the costumes you could buy, which already is sort of pay to win. And then they start releasing more and more. I haven't played it for 6 months, but it's supposedly horrible in the cash shop now.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things. Sorry for interrupting you, but like when they release costumes and the costume is good, but there's two options here. One is that they're good and they don't have any stats, or the second one is where it's a box, like a loot box. I fucking hate loot boxes, like RNG boxes. And you can get the same costume but with stats, or you could just buy that costume with stats. I think that's the most ridiculous fucking thing in the world.
Yeah, and then there's the other side of pay to win where technically it is, but technically it isn't a premium service. Like, if a game doesn't have a subscription, they shouldn't include a premium service which gives you subscription benefits. It's like they're using a loophole to get away with it, not using the word subscription.
Yeah. I don't understand, dude. I know, I don't know if you've had like a really, really bad experience with a game, even in, it doesn't have to be recent years, but because I know you were talking about Black Desert, but any other game that you've had a big issue with that really just pissed you off?
Age of Wushu is probably a pretty bad one.
Oh God, please no. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, their premium service pretty much cut your XP in 3/4 if you didn't have it.
Oh my God, that's depressing, dude. Yeah,
Which you could get back, because it actually sort of, if you didn't have the premium service, it was sort of stuck in a loop somewhere. And when you bought premium again, you'd somehow be able to tap into that experience pool.
God, please
And
no.
It was really strange.
No. Oh God, Sorcerer that's on Twitch chat right now said Arcade really eats arch and cheese. Oh my God, that pissed me the fuck off so much. I was actively with my guild, actively in that game. Arcade was so good. We were happy for it. Like I said, alpha and beta were fantastic. We were hoping for the best. The launch was the most atrocious thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But it was fine. We played and we had fun. Now, let me tell you, when I say that we planted thousands of fucking trees to get those Thunderstruck cheese, I just said trees, and they released him on the cat shop in a loot box. I literally fucking flipped and said, fuck this, I'm out of this game, fuck everything, and everybody in my guild left the game and we fucking said bye. Dude, that was, oh my God.
Yeah, Arcade is definitely the most recent one that sticks out fairly well.
It hurt my feelings, dude. Really, it did. Like, I was really excited for it because it was cool. It was an Eastern MMO. It still is, I guess, technically. But it felt really westernized. It felt, different. And I know it was tap target, and I hate tap target. Like, I love action combat. And I got used to it. I was like, whatever, shit, this is fun. But I couldn't stand it, dude. It's just like, my moral code said, fuck this.
Yeah, it does happen, especially, and it happens. It's just happening more and more as well.
Yeah.
Like 10 years ago, it wasn't existing, and now it's fairly rampant throughout everything.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of I've seen also in this kind of thing. I'm gonna say Terra. there was a point in time where I think they quickly fixed this. So this was like 3 years ago or whatever. You could get your, I guess it's called like undergarments or underwear that you can get in the game. You can grind for it and try to get the best one, or you could buy it straight from the cash shop. Now, I get how it's not pay to win because technically it's in the game and you can get it in the game. So if you get it on the cash shop, it's just shorter, but that's still fucked up. And I got this gear and I was so proud of it. I was like, yeah, look at this, guys, woo! And literally, I shit you not when I say, like, I grinded all day and fucking night. The next day they released it on the cash shop. Oh my god, I was so fucking mad, but I didn't quit, but I got banned. But anyways, I was really pissed off at that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess it's how do you determine if something is pay to win or pay to be slightly faster at getting something, or even just pay for convenience? Like, take a look at Star Wars, for example. You actually now have to use the cash shop to hide your helmets.
Oh god, seriously?
Like, I'm not sure that's a certain publisher being that way, but it seems a bit horrible. I'm not sure how much it is. It was like 600 cartel coins last I checked to unlock it for your whole account. I have no idea what that equates to in real money, but
yeah,
it seems weird having to pay to hide your helmets.
I think it seems weird to pay for anything. I understand the whole pay for convenience, and I think there's up to a point where you're just like, how much is convenience? Because you're like, all right, I can buy this pill that could heal me instantly while I'm in PvP that I can't get anywhere in game, quote unquote, convenience. Sure. Or you can craft it in game, but it's a less powerful version of it. Or what's another good thing that I've seen? God, what's the most pay to win item you've seen in game, in any game?
The ones that just, well, I guess item wise, I've seen somewhere like epically decent or just legendary gears available, but the things that give you bonus experience just don't seem right. Like, if I pay $3 to get 500% experience, that seems a bit pay to winning.
Yeah. And like the companies, and they will fucking blatantly do it. They'll be like, this is not pay to win, okay? This is convenient. I'm like, no, hold on, no. How are you telling me that it's not pay to win? If you're telling me that I can swipe my card or now use PayPal and go ahead and get the best shit in the game, no matter what, using real life cash, that's what pay to win is, in my opinion. How is it not? If you can get like the best fucking medicine, the best fucking bandages, whatever the case, the best gear, the best weapons, and you can only do that with cash shop, or you can also grind it for it in game, but it takes way shorter for you to do it in cash shop. How is that not pay to win? Like, I've seen that shit so much in MMOs these days, where they're just like, it's not pay to win, it's just convenience. Like, how the fuck is that even not the same shit?
Well, I feel it's everyone sees it on a scale, where the far end of the scale, which is the shit end, is you can buy items from the cash shop that you can't get in game, like instant healing potions that heal slightly more.
Yeah.
Then there's the slightly less pay to win, where you can craft said item in game, or buy it if you want to spend money on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a shortcut. I mean, if you can buy anything that's in the game, okay. I used to believe that if you can buy on the cash shop anything that's already in the game and you can grind for or grab, it's not pay to win. I used to believe that. But I think in the recent years, I've come to acknowledge the fact that there's so much things that publishers and developers are getting away with. Well, I guess I wouldn't really blame the publishers, or the developers, but the publishers themselves are getting away with, that they just really want to get the cash. And I get it. I understand. The MMORPG business is a business. I understand that you need to make money. And I also understand that in an MMO, the lifespan is, if you are whatever, you the first few months, cool, you're good, you're getting cash flow, you're getting stuff. And then when your membership is going down and down and down, I'm sure that you also have to put in some pay to win items because you need to make money back. But at what point does it stop?
I guess it ultimately depends on the publisher and the developer themselves of if they want to be the community company or like the investor company.
Yeah.
If they care about their image a lot, they'll probably be less pay to winny. If they don't care about the thing and they're just after the money, they'll throw whatever they can in the cash shop and hope for the best.
Yeah, and yeah, okay, so as MP5 Hell said, pay to progress. Oh my god, that term just makes my eyebrows itch.
Yeah, there's a bit of a deep scowl here.
For $5 now, you can also get your XP 100% and beat every single person on the server. What? What the fuck are you talking about? What? And they're like, no, it's not pay to win, I promise you. It's like, what are you talking about? It's pay to progress. What? What the fuck is going on? Dude, that's happened so much. And, you know, I know it used to be a big thing in Star Wars, The Old Republic, and it's happened a lot in fucking games. That's a common thing now, and people don't see it that way anymore. That's the depressing part. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but like in all these MMOs that have come out, they have that shit where it's like, take this small XP pill and you too can experience life to the fullest. What? And they don't complain about it. Now they complain about, hey, I can put money into the auction house. But they don't complain about the fact that you can get like full 100% XP, get on the leaderboards and beat every single person just by paying cash. What? Or the fact that you can pay for stamina, like while you're in combat or something like that. Or, oh my god, let's not talk about the labor system.
Yeah, I was about to say, we could go into the labor and energy system there, but that could be another 3 hours of just ranting.
Yeah, I would. That's the sad part, is I would rant for like a fucking 3 hours just on it. And you know, a lot of people, like, they see me on this cool guy, because I promote a lot of fucking games. You do too. You call it shilling. But I go ahead and, you know, I promote the games that I really, really like. You know, the recent one being a game that's coming out in 2 years. Cool, but it's got a cool premise. The thing with Revelation Online, it's like I was ready for it. And I interviewed the fucking producer, and he's like, there will not be any pay-to-win items in the game. And do you know how much it pissed me off? It made me look bad. It made the people that I brought look bad. And, you know, I don't care if it severs my connection with my.com. I really don't. But the fact is you're letting the community down because they really want change. You know, they want that Obama of fucking MMOs, not the actual actions you've done, but, you know, the whole, you know, let's change bullshit. That's what they want, and we're not seeing that. We haven't seen that. We just seen the same bullshit over and over.
Well, it's probably when they see just, you know, how popular something becomes, they're like, hey, we can make a quick $1.50 off this. So they slowly filter it in, or in MyCom Revelations case, they sort of just throw you in the deep end.
Yeah. Oh, mobile games, please. Let's not talk about mobile games. Mobile games are the worst. Where like the browser games, like League of Angels. Oh, sweet Jesus! Some of my members, they got addicted to League of Angels 2. Oh, the amount of money they put in that game. Those sweet, sweet souls.
Yeah, it's a bit horrible. But in that same regard, they also shit on really good IPs. Like, look at EA and Dungeon Keeper. Great series. They released it on mobile, turn it into a beautiful energy system where you have to buy 500 crystals to save you waiting 27 hours.
Oh god, yes. Dude, oh, I remember those. I used to play them so much, and it would get me like I think it all started with Farmville. That is my theory on this pay to win business, where like if you pay $5, you too can get these crystals and therefore advance rather than waiting 24 hours. It's like, okay, well, shit, it's only $5. Why the fuck not? And then it starts like that, and it becomes socially acceptable. Yeah. And it happened to me so much time. I spent so much money on Farmville.
Yeah, I've got to ask this all-important question. Will you move your farm next door to me for 200 carrots?
Please, no. I quit that game many a year ago. I think there's a second one now on Facebook. Oh yeah, pay $10 and the building auto finishes. Oh. And it became, you know, and it's slightly off topic, but like with Facebook is a big ass fucking social media network, and they were you know, investing into these games like Farmville, and so there was already an epidemic of, hey, pay to win, whatever. But it wasn't as widely argumented, I guess, as it is nowadays, like we're doing, basically. And I think, like, that's really how it really kind of sparked. Is, like, those games really kind of sparked and made it socially acceptable to spend game, progress faster, do faster. I know it's stupid because the games are dumb, but you gotta understand these people are young. Like, I was fucking young. I was like 13 years old. It was a long time ago. Well, no, I'm lying. I was like 15, 16 years old. And spending money like this and then kind of drilling into my head, it's fine. You know, progressing with money is fine. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It does, and that also brings up a pretty good point. All these people that see paying to win as something that has to happen to actually be well and do decently in the game, they go into debt because a lot of these people are young. Like, I have a mate who he spent like 2,000 Australian dollars on Arcade.
Oh my god!
And he was at uni. Most of that was probably coming from government assistance or something, or his job. But that's a lot of money for a student to spend on a game just to try and keep up and be slightly ahead of the curve. It's pretty horrible.
Yeah, dude, that's depressing. I know. I had a 53-year-old friend who joined my gaming community, and he was telling us how he regretted spending so much money. He spent this game on, I think it was Perfect World Online. Spent $15,000 on this girl, just buying her bullshit to advance her or advance himself. And it makes you, it's like, shit, I don't have that money. I wish I had that money, but I don't know how it's become so socially acceptable to just spend money to progress and be better than everybody else. I don't know. I guess it's just, you know, how we're putting real life into the fantasy life.
Yeah, it's strange, and that also, you can see it's definitely a cause and effect from social gaming, from like Facebook, as you mentioned. All the new up-and-coming MMOs that do actually come from the West are also extremely casualized and dumbed down, probably to appeal to the masses because they know they'll spend money on it.
Mm-hmm.
Where hardcore gamers like us and people that play a lot of time in actual 3D games, not something you can play on an Android tablet, we expect something more, something actual RPG in the MMORPG.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it, and I know a lot of people think of it weird, but if we're all gamers, everyone who's a fucking gamer, anyone who is watching this, the 12 or 15 people, because it keeps going up and down, that are watching this, or anybody in an MMORPG is role-playing. How? You are playing a character in a game, and you're trying to advance and be better than everybody else. You have a fantasy player that you're trying to be better than everybody else. And people take it to this point where they're trying to bring real life in. And so they become socially, like I said, socially acceptable to put just cash, because it's like, whatever. And that comes on a completely different topic where I was going to say, you know, people are bashing the RP players, but in reality, you know, they take it a step further, sure, but everybody's role playing. If you're really playing an MMO or, you know, Call of Duty, you're like, oh, I'm a soldier, I'm going to shoot people. So that's completely off topic, but yeah, it's just, it really sucks how in the last decade, it's just been a downward spiral of constant lies and deceit. And that's not a pun on the game that I've been playing.
Sorcerer, ERPing, please don't. That's some memories from Goldchar I don't want to come back.
ERPing, well, what you do on your time, you know. Message me later. So, yeah, we talked about pay to win a little extensively. And I don't know if there's something else you wanted to add towards that topic before we move on to the next one.
Not so much. It's really just, hopefully, publishers realize just because they can make a quick buck doesn't mean they should.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they realize that, sure, the game may be great. It may look amazing. It may have the best graphics that's come out in MMOs in the recent years. It may have the best character customization. And I'm totally not throwing shade here, by the way. And it might be one of the best games that should have come from Asia, or even if it's Western made. It does not mean that, you know, you can just go ahead and try to manipulate the players. The community and the members are what make a game. It's not the money you put into it. It's not the development time you put into it. It's not the years of work you put into it. And sure, that physically creates the game. But what actually makes the game a success or a failure is the community and its members. You should really take that into account.
Yeah, we're not specifically talking about Black Desert, but I did just wink at this camera that's not currently turned on.
All right. So we'll be talking about community management now. If you want to start it off, if you've seen any shitty community management in the last recent years.
Yeah, like we shouldn't be naming game names or
no.
anything,
I don't want you to like point out a name, even though we've been doing that.
No, I won't. So.
But you know, being vague about it and what's happened.
Yes, a certain game that recently came out. I got banned from the actual publisher's Discord and their forums because I questioned why they don't have oceanic servers. I didn't even get an answer, and they straight up just said, "You're banned." Now that's a pretty prime example of absolutely shitty community management. And then it's hard to say that there's community management that they're a bit more lenient on the rules,
right?
And then there's some that sort of they go above and beyond to be, and abuse their moderator powers. It's interesting. There's such a huge scale, and it's strange.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, so it's kind of hard not to talk about it. But yeah, dude, that really sucks. I know. I've seen a lot of people in a recent, like I said, it was in a Discord. It was in an official publisher Discord for a game. I'm being vague on purpose, and I've seen people watch them get banned for, like I said, like you said. Actually, it wasn't you or I actually saw that what happened to you. We've been in a few games together, so I've seen that happen to you, but I saw it happen to other people also asking for oceanic servers. I see them asking why they got banned and putting their ticket information, as well as questioning moderators, which I believe is an actual good thing. I think people should question authority, and as long as moderators or community managers are able to respond in a dignified manner rather than, hey, I'm bored, I don't want to reply to you, is a prime example of how it should be. But what I've seen in previous games is just with community management, I've seen people, or rather publishers, going ahead and doing a favoritism towards a specific group of people, and making them moderators even though they're complete garbage, and they treat people like garbage, and they overlook it and they just laugh about it behind scenes. And I've seen this happen quite a bit. I've seen community managers completely ignore the community entirely, not even doing their fucking job, not contacting streamers how they're supposed to, not talking to the community about what the creative director or what the producer wants, not talking about anything or even doing any patch notes, nothing. They're just there to breathe. And it sucks. Like, I've seen that in a lot of games, and I'm not naming any names, but it like I said, it really sucks.
Yeah, it is a bit weird. Like, there was that the same publisher I was talking about. Someone actually compiled evidence over the course of about a week, submitted a ticket showing that the moderator was being a dick, and that moderator actually went through all of the tickets to find that specific one and answer it, and click finished before anyone else could see it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's depressing, dude.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing, but it does happen. But then you get some really good community management and communities in general that sort of share everything, and some things they're not meant to share, which is why they don't enter voice chat anymore.
yeah, they leak things by accident, or they, drink a little too many beers and come into voice chat and answer things, or whatever. I get it, yeah. But there was this one incident, and it's not very recent, but it happened. I got permanently banned from a game. Those who know me, please don't talk about this. Don't even turn it in the chat, so you don't know who I'm talking about. I got permanently banned because this GM didn't like me. They didn't like me. They didn't like my group of people. Take that as you wish. So he he used in the terms of service, you can ban anybody for any fucking reason. I did not do anything wrong. I followed the rule of conduct 100% to the T. I did everything proper. The only reason this person banned me was because he didn't like me and the community had reported me constantly throughout the server just to troll me. How the fuck? Like, that's, first of all, that's terrible PR. Like, on a global scale. And secondly, like, I found out karma's a bitch, by the way. I found out this GM was actually banned and fired a couple years ago. I actually didn't look into it until a few weeks ago. So, it's, you know, I've seen so many bad examples of community management and, you know, no communication, no care for the community. Or I've also seen where they will care about the community for the first few months. Then they get too big. They don't give a fuck afterwards. They're like, we made our money. We're making our money. We don't need you anymore. We don't need the community anymore. We'll just do what we want to do. And just stop everything that drew us to them originally and fuck off.
Well, that is another thing. Yeah, once a game's released, it doesn't mean support should stop just because people aren't asking as many questions because they're actually playing the game.
Yeah.
It happens constantly, especially once again with the Eastern MMOs. They get released on the West. Once they get released, people can complain about bugs all they want and all that, and PR and the community moderators and managers just, they sort of say, oh yeah, we'll file a ticket. That's as far as it ever goes.
Oh yeah, dude. We'll file a ticket, then they don't answer for like 2 months. I love those. Or here's the best one is when their customer support service, and I get it, it's cost effective. Customer support service are complete third party and have no idea what the fucking game is about or what your situation is, and don't even read your tickets, and they just do an automatic reply.
Yeah, I guess mostly if they don't have an answer on the cue card or the notepad document in front of them, they can't really do much if they're not really affiliated with the company in any way or form.
Yeah,
so they sort of go, oh yeah, finished.
Yeah, and you just kind of give up. You're like, well, I guess I quit the game because I can't even play. Yeah, that's happened quite a fucking bit, and you know, I'm hoping for the upcoming games that are releasing. You know, I've seen a few that are really good with community management. You know, they talk to the community. They're constantly on there. Developers are constantly talking. And I've seen this in a few games that are coming out. You know, and I'm kind of excited to see how that turns out and if their promise will stay still. Because, you know, it's only fair to have skepticism. I can't even say that. To be skeptic. Wow, I almost had a stroke saying that. To be skeptic after all these years of just being let down and, you know, betrayed for years and years of just lies and betrayal and just bullshit. And I love when, you know, when a company's caught in a lie and then community management, I get it. You know, their PR and even the PR managers, I get that. You know, they have to make everything sound nicer. I've done this. I understand. But when they turn it around and make it seem like we're lying or that they're in the truth and they're in the real and they're not even transparent about it, I really hope that doesn't happen anymore, dude.
Yeah, well, hopefully with more and more MMOs coming out in the West, we won't have to deal with that. Because certain Eastern cultures, they'll say, oh, but it's okay in China, for example, so, you know, the West will just have to suck it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
I mean, and I think that's all we can talk about for community management, so I think we'll move on to the next topic. We got to save some stuff for future weeks, of course. Promising upcoming MMOs. And I know before the show you were like, shit, I should probably look some up and see how they look like. So if you want to...
Yeah, because they all look shit.
Well, you know, there are some that look pretty cool, so I don't know if there's one that particularly piqued your interest so far.
Yeah, the main one that seems to be on the horizon is I wouldn't really call it an MMO anymore. It's more like a survival game. Dark and Light.
Oh, that's a game.
I actually had a bit of trouble saying that with a straight face. That is not a promising upcoming MMO.
I thought that was a meme. I didn't even know that existed anymore. Not gonna lie.
It still does.
Well,
Well, we all know half of us are here from the from Ashes of Creation. It looks to be the new upcoming half sandboxy, open worldy MMO.
yeah.
A lot of cool features, a lot of hype around it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love that the community is working together. You know, they're really positive. You know, you have these you have some of these people who are obviously trolls or negative or whatever the case, and you know, they're handled immediately. Moderators and the community management team and you know the developers, they're always there and they're always talking to people and they're always making sure, you know, the it's really cool to see that a community is coming together this quick, this big, and as early as it is. So pretty excited for Ashes Creation for sure. Another game I think Crowfall is looking pretty cool, but I have some negative experiences with it, so I can't really. I'd rather not talk.
Yeah,
I'm biased.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I did see some very early footage that it looked a bit clunky.
Right.
But it is very early footage, so it may become great.
Yeah.
Another one is Lost Ark, although I haven't really seen much written about that in a while now.
Yeah. Lost Ark. I know they had their betas or stuff this year, and that's looking kind of cool. I'm still kind of worried about it because you know it is a Korean game coming over here, and I'm worrying how it's going to be implemented here without ruining the economy for us. That sounded like a weird political statement, but it really isn't. I mean, it's just the truth. I'm worried of how games that are coming from you know other places coming in and going to be monetized.
Well, that's right. Depending on it also depends on how they affect the West as well. If they're coming from like Asia, Bless, for example, a complete combat overhaul for the Western release could be good, could be horrible. Don't really know.
Right, and that's cool. You know, it's cool that they're looking at the Western community like, well, shit. Our combat is garbage cans. Let's change that. Woo! And put it on the back burner and, you know, make sure that the game is polished and before they bring it over to us. That's cool. I find that awesome. I find that they're actually caring about the community. Same time, you know, it could be a complete plot or a ploy to get money, but who knows? I think it's cool that Bless is looking to make changes based on community feedback. That's definitely awesome.
Well, at least they're sort of listening to the community, at least for now.
Yeah. Have you heard of anything about Star Citizen?
Yeah, it'll get released eventually.
Yeah, that seems to be the common statement. So let's just move on to the next game.
Think that it's going to come out.
Yeah. Who knows?
You got Age of Wushu 2 coming out.
Nice.
I'm not sure if it's this year or next year now, but that could be promising. Supposedly, there's no more Tai Chi or steam buns, so it's a bit of a letdown. But
yeah. Well, I was looking. I remember when they were teasing it, and I was kind of excited about that. It was around the same time Dark and Light was kind of announced last year, and I was looking into it. And there's this group of Chinese. It's like a Chinese gaming community. And I was talking to them and stuff, and they're giving me all this footage and like interesting information, and it looks interesting. But I do wonder, like, if it's going to be the same route with how it went with the first one. You know, like the biggest downfall was, you know, pay to win and all that shit.
Yeah, having a pay to win currency is also extremely weird. That it's weird in itself that it's better than normal currency, but it's also weird if it transfers to normal currency. That's something else. But we already covered that, so I won't go into it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh Lord.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of upcoming MMOs. How good most of them will be is also questionable because we don't know a huge amount about most of them.
I mean, I know there's one called Dauntless, and it's really underrated because not a lot of people talk about it or really know about it because it's not really an MMO. I mean, it's an MMO because there's lots of players going to be playing it, supposedly. But it's a Monster Hunter Online-esque type of game, and people are, you know, in teams of 4, I believe, and they're killing monsters or shit. And then there's a central hub, much like Vindictus, a central hub where you meet up with everybody, but everybody else is instance, like the dungeons and shit are instance. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm not entirely sure how that'll be worked on. I know that's a Western game, so I'm kind of curious. I saw the founder packs, and It's actually cool. Like, there was no pay to win items, but that does not really necessarily mean anything until we actually obviously look at the game. So
Yeah, it doesn't mean much nowadays.
yeah, it really does. It really doesn't. So it's cool. I'm curious to test out the game and see if it's something that I might enjoy. Dauntless, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's also technically it's not an upcoming MMO because it's been out for a while, but you've got Final Fantasy 14 expansion coming out in June. Could be good. New classes, new zones, new quests,
You know,
better story.
it makes me wonder if, you know, some of these games that are coming out now, or not even now, like in the next couple of years, are going to be like the next Final Fantasy, where people are sticking around and staying there, and they're waiting for expansions. They're super excited about that, and they're like spreading it around. I'm curious to see how these communities grow, and that's like the best aspect for me, at least as a gamer, is to see how the communities are.
Well, that's right. And most of the communities will be there because currently everyone's just waiting for the next big thing. Because of at the moment, it's pretty much flavor of the month MMO. It dies after 2 months. Jump on the next ship and hope for the best.
Yeah,
It'd be nice to see a game that lasts for a while, like Final Fantasy 14, or even to an extremely lesser extent, World of Warcraft. But it's nice to see things actually last longer than 6 months.
yeah, definitely. And you know that, like you said, it's the common thing now where it's like games just end up dying within 6 months. Like you'll come in. I remember going to Black Gold Online, and I'm naming them because it's a dead game. Nobody plays it. And it was fun. I kind of enjoyed it. It was very World of Warcraft-esque, but they also put in some like, I guess what would you call it, like grunge features. I don't know, like machines and shit. I can't even think of the name right now, but and it was cool. But all I could see anywhere, because there's nobody in the fucking game, nobody, was bots. Nobody was in the game. And it was really sad to see, and I'm hoping that type of wasteland does not happen in different games because, you know, it's really sad to see, especially when it comes to promising games.
Well, a lot of games are still around. They just have that very niche
Steam
group of people playing it. Yeah, like I guess Guild Wars 2 is fairly still active, but
Oh yeah,
things
definitely.
things like Rift still exist with a very small amount of players compared to what they were in their prime.
Right.
They still exist in Star Wars even. That still has quite a few players, but there's nowhere near as many as what you consider an MMORPG anymore.
Yeah, you don't really see it as much anymore. But we'll move on to the final topic before we end for the night, because it's only for an hour, so. I think it's been pretty cool for the first hour, but the last topic is just what are hopes to see for future games, or games in general, you know, not MMOs, but anything. What are your hopes to see in a game?
Oh, I hope to see a lot less pay to win.
Well, of course, yeah.
And it'd be nice for MMORPGs or just RPGs and adventure games in general to bring back that old school RPG feel,
Right.
rather than sort of ham-fisting in stories and disgusting agendas. Looking at you, Mass Effect.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they need to bring back the actual RPG feel of RPGs. Because right now you're pretty much just playing a generic X-race character.
Yeah.
Could be an elf, could be a human, although in most games nowadays they look exactly the same.
What is
Except one's got pointier ears.
what is your ideal game? Like, any game whatsoever. It doesn't have to be
Well,
MMO.
I still think the greatest MMO of all time is Ultima Online. It was my first MMO. I still play it to this day. I like just the freedom of it. You're not limited to, you have to do this one quest here to get this item.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing. But in terms of just RPGs and stuff, Final Fantasy X, it had it all. Story. It had an extremely weird skill system. Turn-based combat. It was there.
Yeah. So that's your ideal, like, dream MMO or game, really, for you.
Yeah, we can't really mesh those two together too well, but yeah, I like the freedom of the older style MMORPGs.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I think for me it would be, like, I know it sounds really ridiculous because it's funny, because I know virtual reality is a big thing that's coming out now. But definitely like to see virtual reality be implemented into MMOs more effectively. I'd like to see something like that to really like, I know it's gonna sound so this some dumb term that a lot of people use, but really immerse yourself into the game. Um, and there's not a pun whatsoever just because you have a helmet on or whatever the case, but I'd like to see that where, quests are really interactive with the player and the community, where NPCs are really interactive as well. And you're seeing that more and more of these games nowadays, but I definitely like to see that. I like to see that there's legendary items that you can get in a specific area, and you have to like travel for it. And it's a limited time, or only limited of them actually exist. So only like the top certain players can get it if they go for it. I definitely like to see all that, and I have a lot of ideas, but ultimately that's just like what I'd like to see, at least personally. Link start. Welcome to Sword Art Online. No, it definitely wasn't.
Well, to be fair, IBM are in fact making, in conjunction with some Japanese studio, a Sword Art Online game. There is footage of it. I will put a link somewhere that you can find eventually.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw it. Yeah, I definitely saw it.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm hoping that it does, like, from the future of MMOs. I hope that it really delves into something amazing, and rather than what we've had for the last decade. I hope from here on out things can change and MMOs can be rejuvenated, I guess, in a way where the new standard of players, because there's lots of new young players coming in. We have players that are been 50 years old, 40 years old, 30 years old. They've been playing for that long, for so many goddamn years. They're used to how the community, how the games, how the mechanics are usually. And now we're getting new players, the youngins, as some would call them, that are changing. And I hope that the games change with them, for the acknowledgement of community.
Yeah, it will be nice to see the genre not stagnate and disappear like real-time strategy games did when League of Legends came out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it just needs an injection of something.
Yeah,
something to bring it back.
for sure. But I think that really that's it for us tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's our first episode called "A Welcome to Reality," just to make it edgy. It's the gaming reality show where we're talking about the reality of the gaming structure for the last decade, or our hopes for the future. And we'll be talking about different topics every week. Hopefully, getting you at the edge of your seat, get you nice and centralized. But and
to come, we will actually have a text line, so people can in fact text us questions, and we can have a rant for 5 minutes about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming soon to a theater near you.
Coming to a theater near you. No, but from next, I know I can say that it wasn't going to be today, but starting every week, we're probably going to have guests coming in and talking, debating with us. We're going to be interviewing some cool guild leaders and promote their guilds and communities. I almost said games for some reason. Publishers and hopefully developers, and promote their games and really expand on it. So I hope you guys join us on this project. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. I don't know if it's subscribe or follow. If you're on YouTube, because this is also going to be on YouTube, and subscribe. And yeah, thanks guys. You guys are awesome, and hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if you have something to say, Pelum.
No, have a good day or night, depending on where you are, and say good day to your mum for me.
Oh god, you and your mom. You want to say something to your mom? To your wonderful mate. Alright, so we'll see you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Have fun.